the names are not, if you look at this, you will notice that the spaces between them are not, they are not the way you will normally do your spacing between a first name and a last name. This has definitely more than a space. These are some spaces before the names, and I'm talking about situations where you have a lot, right? So how do you fix everything at once? Okay, so I'm going to show you the formula that helps you trim out leading spaces. So the formula is trim, and you select the text, right? And I can drag this down for others. I drag this down for others, and you notice it's helped me done the spacing. So now I have the spacing well done. So I for these ones that have leading spaces, space before the first letter, it's removed all those ones, and then the spaces in between the names, those ones that have more than one space, it's limited it to just one space. So this is one formula you might find useful if you work with data that sometimes the spacings are not well made, and you want to make them more proper for everything. So I'll move on to another one. So here again, it's different names, so people, their names, and as you can see, some are all written in small caps, some in all capital letter, and it's a mix. And then I have small caps, I have some written well the way I will have done. How can I standardize everything into the same format we are all used to, right? How can I have them all, the first letter of each name capitalized? So in Excel, that is called you will have to use a formula called proper. So I say proper, I have to redo that. I say proper, so proper, I select the text I would like to do that for, and I can drag down. So on dragging down, you'll notice it's done for every other name. So all the names are now first letter capitalized. They say the regular way we write names. Okay, if you want them all in uppercase, there is also a formula for that. It's called upper, and I select the names. So it's all dependent on you, whichever standardized format you like to have the names written in. So this is one formula you find yourself using when you have to change the cases of, okay, to a situation like this. If you look at these, I have, it's meant to be a record of last name, right? But if you look at these, I have the first, for some of the records, the first name and the last name are well aligned. They are directly under the header for the first name and the last name. And I have for some, they are skewed. They are like in this case, the names are almost there are 3 fields shifted away from where they should have been, and I have these all varying. Some are shifted just one field away, some 2 fields away, and I have a lot of records like this. I wouldn't want to do this manually. How can I fix all of this in one go, right? So I will show you how to do that. You select all the records, up from the beginning to the field containing the last disarranged one. Okay, so I select everything, and we're going to use go to special. So I go to home, I come to find and select, go to special, and I click on blanks. I want Excel to highlight for me, to select for me the blank cells, so it will pick out only just the blank cells. So I click on blanks, I do OK. Okay, now it's selected only the blanks. What will I want to do, right? I want to delete the blanks. So I want this, if I do that properly, right, this will shift back to the first column. So I'm going to right click and do delete, and I'll say shift to the left. So I'll tell Excel to shift the records all to the left, and voila, you can see it's done that. So all the names are now well aligned. Okay, and that is it for blanks. Let me check if there are any questions so far. I'm going to I'm going to go to the comment box to check if anyone has asked any question. Okay. Not sure. Let me just check from here if there are any comments, any questions. If you have any questions, there's a comment box there, and if you do that, I should be able to see your questions. Oh, chat is disabled. Okay, let me enable that. I don't know that it was disabled. Let me just have that enabled in a bit. Info and settings. Okay, so I'm going to try to enable chat. Chat is enabled. I don't know why it's disabled over there. Okay, so I can see it's enabled. So all right. It's a tricky one today, right? If you, I don't know how you send me questions, but okay, let me just run through the whole webinar and see if I can re-enable the chat afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Let me just say save. Okay, so let's go back here. What about removing duplicates? How do you handle duplicates in your values? If you look at this table I have in here for different states in Nigeria, the issue with this is there are some records that are duplicated. You might not know, but if you look at this, Benue State is showing up twice. I think Ebonyi State too up twice, all at once, right? Remove them. How can I remove duplicate records? Okay, so let me show you how you can highlight records that are duplicate. If you come in here and you go to highlight cell rules, you'll see duplicate values, right? So when you, let's leave it with the default, so I do okay. Now you will notice that some records will all be highlighted completely. So all these ones definitely are duplicates. They have more than one version of it. So I have Ebonyi and Ebonyi. I have Enugu. So now I can decide to maybe manually do something about them. But what if I want to remove them, instant highlight? So I'm going to undo the highlighting. I want to remove all the duplicates, and I want the duplicate that will be identified to be records that have exactly the same thing in state, the same thing for January values, the same thing for February value, the same thing for March, the same thing for April, the same thing for May, the same thing for June. So I'm going to select all of those columns. But if you want records that have maybe just the same thing for maybe the state name and say June figure, you select only those ones, right? But in my case, I'm going to select everything, meaning all the fields must match before it identifies them as duplicate records. I click on OK, and instantly it tells me it's found 3 duplicate values. I have 35 unique values remaining. Okay, that does it. So that's another data cleaning tool you have inbuilt in Excel. So next one is text to, I call it text to number, but it's not like there's a function in Excel called text to number. What do I mean? That there are some cases where you copy out records. So maybe I copied this out from, I think I copied it out from here. Let me open. Okay, so text to, I copied it out from here. So these are records of different pizza types that were sold, price. This is more like a sales record of the restaurant. But when I brought it into Excel, somehow it's showing up as text. How do I know it's showing up as text? If you look at this, they are all showing up as text. So here, instead of numbers. And another quick way to check is there's a formula in Excel called is number. So let me run them here. So there's a formula is number, and there's also is text. You can use this to check if a particular record is a number or a text, right? You will expect that let's even start with this 5 here. You will expect that these should be equal to this, right? But you see what's coming up to, it's coming to false. And the reason is this is a number, this is a text. Excel aligns text to the left, numbers to the right. So somehow in getting my figures into Excel, I'd mixed up with the formatting, right? If I run that formula is number, open bracket, I select, let's select maybe even the amount sold. You can see it's coming up at false, right? If I do is it a text? Is text, and I select that very same figure, it's coming up as true, showing that it's a text, right? So how do I fix all of these at once? How do I tell Excel that these numbers I have, they are not text, they are actually numbers? And to do that, there are two ways to go about that. So maybe I'll do for each one. So I'll start with price. I select all of the figures, I come here and I tell Excel that this thing is a number. The issue with this is it doesn't work in retrospect, like it doesn't go back. If you notice, you'll see that even though I've changed these to numbers, right, these things are still showing up to the left like a text. So you find yourself having to go back inside and clicking inside and doing almost like a go in, come out, go in, come out. You don't have time for all of that, right? So this is useful maybe for just 2 or 3 records, but if you have a lot of records like I'm showing us now, this method wouldn't really be time effective. Okay, so which other method do we have? I'm going to show you a method that works consistently, right? So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to, again, that same what we've done, I'll specify that all of these are now all numbers, and like I've shown you, it doesn't work. The next thing you'll have to do is come in here, type in 1 in any cell in Excel, right click on the number you've typed, number 1, always 1, and select all of these records. Let's leave out the time. I select all of that, I right click, I do paste special. So I do paste special, I come here, I select values and I say multiply. So values multiply, and instantly you'll see it's all been converted back to number, and you can see this coming up as true, right? So it's no longer showing as text. So whenever you have large records that you want to convert all from text to number, then this approach works always. Okay, so how about selecting cells with errors? If you have cells with errors, how do you select them? Okay, I have here records of, again, that same pizza restaurant, but here you will notice some fields, some cells are having this div error. How can I highlight all the cells with errors at once? Maybe apply a color code that makes me identify them. I'm going to select the entire records. I'll go to new rule, So I'll say, format only cells that contain, and then here I'll select errors. So cells that contain errors. And what color do I want? What kind of formatting style do I want? Let's fill them with, say, red color. So I do OK, and I do OK. So now I should be able to see the cells with errors showing up with red, those cells showing up as red. But how do I move them all up? Okay, so that's the next thing you probably want to do. I can notice that they are all like move all the red on top. Then I'll have to go to sort. So I'll go to custom sort. I choose to sort by price, but now I'm sorting based on cell color, and I want red on top. So I want the red color on top. I do OK, and now it moves up all those cells with errors. They are all moved on top, and I can see them all at once, right? So I might want to maybe do something about them, find out why the errors are coming up. Whatsoever I want to do now, I can do. So now you've seen ways you can identify cells with errors. Okay, I'll show some nifty of the quarter one revenue. So that is summation of January to February. If I'm trying to change this to quarter two, right? So I'm going to change this to quarter two, but I need to change the formula too, right? Quarter two is not B D B C D is not, it's actually EFG. So I'm going to show us two ways you can do this quickly. Source of the formula showing up in Excel like I do here now. So I have the source of the formula showing up on the same sheet. I have my formula here and also the table underlined underneath the formula in the same sheet. Then it is a lot easy. I can drag this here, and now I have for quarter two, I can drag down. Works nice. But what if for a situation where, so I'm going to undo this. I'll undo once again, and then I'll copy this. I'll create it's showing up with reference error. Okay, so I'm going to redo the formula in here. So let's do for the Q. And I drag down for the other months. Just a minor update on my formula. Okay, so I drag down for the entire states. Okay, so again, if I wanted to do that same stuff where we are doing for quarter two is supposed to be to June. Instead of having to do all this back and forth, from here there, changing or rewriting the whole formula, I can do find and replace, right? I'm going to replace this B3 to D. So I'm going to replace B to D with E to G. So let's see how I'll do that. So I'll come in here, right? I'll select the entire records, and I'll do find, Control F. I come to the replace part. So I'm going to replace this part $B with $D. No, E. So we're going to do E to G. So I'm going to replace it with $E. Okay, if you click on these options here, Excel can replace even inside formulas, so it's going to replace right inside those formulas. So I'll click on replace all. Okay, so it's done. About how many replacements, and then I'm going to change from D to EFG to G, replace all. Okay, I think I skipped one. And if you look at it now, it's done for everyone, E to G, right? So I sometimes find this find and replace really useful when I'm working with formulas that are picking from a completely different file. I use this also for if I'm doing summary reports. Say for instance I have January to December, and I want to run a year-end report, right? So I want to pick the figures from January, from February, from March, from April, and so instead of having to go into all those different files one after the other, I can do for January, and I drag down and I use find and replace to do a replace for January with February. I find it faster, right? So that's one nifty use of find. So spelling errors. So this will be the last one. How do you fix spelling errors in Excel? Okay, so I have in here records that obviously this doesn't make sense. I think mirror should be what should have been in here, but as you can see, I have a lot of them, right? So what tools do Excel present you with to fix errors out of the box? I'm going to show you one. If you go to review, you will see spelling, and here you see suggestions. So Excel can help you fix. It can look for all me fro and replaced with mirror, right? So if I say, change all, it fixes all of that at once, and then it goes to the next one, right? So this can help you with it's like an spelling correction. I wouldn't say auto correct, but it looks at the dictionary words and what you have in your Excel sheet that are not valid English words. It helps you with suggestion of the right ones. So like in this case, this is good. It's already helping me fix some of those errors. But what if I want to do everything in a faster way? Because as you can see, I have a lot of records here, right? So it doesn't make sense doing one after the other. I will undo what it has done. In this case, I'll benefit a lot more from using a pivot table. So let's see how with pivot table I can make this whole process faster. So I'm going to select everything like I've done. I go to insert, I go to pivot table, and then I choose, it's selected up. I'm going to say in existing worksheet, and as per location I'll choose maybe somewhere here. I do OK. So Excel does the pivot table. It's going to come up at the right side. Okay, and then I drag the field with the spelling errors to rows. Instantly Excel shows me the spelling errors that are present, so each unique record. That way I can handle them faster. So what I'll do is this. I'm going to tell Excel, okay, so let's start with this. So I'm going to tell Excel to look for all records of these and replace with mirror. So these they want to replace with is mirror. Okay, so I can do this the manual way, but I'll still be faster than that other one. Or I can decide to maybe use a formula. So if I decide to use a formula, right, it should search for whenever it sees this, it should replace it with mirror. Whenever it sees this, it should replace it with mirror, right? So if I'm going to do that, then I will want to use an if error. But let me show you the one that you'll find yourself doing a lot more. faster and takes less time, I mean in terms of compute time, so you won't have to mix up too many formulas. I'm going to go to find and replace, right? So I'm back to find and replace. You can switch off these options. So I'm going to tell Excel to look for this and replace it with mirror, right? Replace with mirror. Replace with mirror. My Excel is gone. I'm going to have to change my webinar software. This is the third time in a row. Okay, so I'm going to select the entire records, right, and I'll say replace all. So it looks for all mirror, replaces them, and I'll do for this. All I need to do now is just to replace the next one. Say replace all. Replace all. Okay, so I just need to just do that, and this shows me I can track my progress made, right? So these, and this is also much more flexible than the one with the spelling check, because sometimes you might want to replace something that is not a standard English words with another thing that is also not a standard English words, because the spelling one just fixes for just English words. So I think I'm going to end the webinar here, right? And we've been able to cover the common data cleaning scenarios you'll encounter in Excel. I'm very sorry for the chart issues and then even the whole entire setup. I think I've given this particular webinar tool I'm using enough try. I've tried it 3 times and I'm having issues all the different 3 times, so I'll have to look for another one. Maybe I'll go back to the one I usually use. So thank you for joining us this month, and if you have any question, and you can leave at the end of the YouTube video, or you email me, I'll be also able to answer your questions, right? So thank you. See you next month.